Rant on Reels. I'm Michael Fooch.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we're started now? Yeah, well, I'm Xavier Barnett. What's up? I'm doing a little bit of a bit right now, but yeah, I'm Xavier. What's up, everybody?
Today on the podcast, we are doing deep dives into Doctor Sleep, Midway, and we're going to the vault for Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, and I'm gonna do what I usually do every week. I'm gonna beg you guys for likes. I'm fishing for likes right now, and if you're in Reddit, it's called Upvotes. Uh, and don't forget to review us. We're on. What are we on?
Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Instagram.
Oh my goodness, you're naming all of them. I actually did that to test you, but you actually know.
Yeah, sorry,
Um,
I don't do bits. I just tell like it is.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not on Instagram anymore. I'm gonna make an announcement. I actually
Did you really?
I disconnected from social media.
Props to you, man.
Proving
Props
a
to you.
point to my friend. He's like, you can't live. I'm like, no one talks to me on social media, so I'm just gonna remove
So
everything.
how long is this like? This has to go on for to prove your friend wrong.
I don't know. I'm gonna do it as long as possible, and if I end up not using it ever again, then that's what's gonna happen.
So wait, are you telling me that
You're
I
the only
have more
one.
social media than you do right
Yes,
now?
you do. I still have the good ones like Reddit and LinkedIn because I need it for personal, like, and for
And
work and
YouTube.
everything, right? And YouTube doesn't really, you can learn from that, but Instagram you can't really learn much
And
from that.
Snapchat's gone too?
Yeah, I didn't
Props
even
to you,
use
man.
Snapchat.
Props to you. We just lost a bunch of listeners, but props to you nevertheless.
Yeah. Also, we got reviews here, so we finally got a new review. You guys can also review. Rate us whatever stars, and we'll read it on the
Yeah,
podcast.
we're gonna read one every episode. So
Yeah.
Xavier, read us our first review.
So this is from FJP Gaming. I always enjoy this podcast. There's not many movie review podcasts for us movie concierges, and this one never fails to quench my thirst with an exclamation mark.
Okay, first of all, I want to stop you. Of all the reviews, you got to pick a positive one. They're gonna think we planted it.
Well, I want to have a negative one, but they're both positive. I like looking at negative reviews because they're more funny to read.
No. In all seriousness, thank you very much for that positive review. We'll try to quench all of your movie needs moving forward and give you
His thirst. He said quench his thirst.
What'd I say?
His movie needs.
Sorry, quench your thirst for good
Movie
reviews.
needs. There we go.
All right, happy Remembrance Day to everyone listening, or Veterans Day for our American listeners. To me, this is one of the most important holidays on the calendar.
Yeah. Our way of life would definitely be different if things didn't turn out the way they did.
And we're not even talking about this from a North American perspective or European perspective. It's from any perspective. I mean,
yeah.
the one thing I think we need to understand is soldiers don't declare war. Soldiers fight wars that the governments declare, and it takes a lot of gusto and a lot of bravery to put your life on the line every day. And so just thank you to all of the men and women who serve in any capacity in the armed services, because you guys make a difference everywhere in the world.
Yeah, my brother just recently signed up for the army actually, so he's joining in as well. So I really appreciate everything that they've done for us. It's couldn't ask for anybody to even do. Like I don't even like to. I'm at a loss for words right now. It's just very grateful for everything. Um, yeah, I suck at talking about.
We'll talk a little bit about this in
Yeah.
in this podcast. We're doing 2 war movies, Midway, and then
Mhm.
obviously from the vault we're doing Saving Private Ryan. 75th anniversary of D-Day this year, so
Yeah.
it's very important. Yeah. All right, I gotta tell you something, Xavier.
What's
Before
up?
we get into the news, I'm struggling today.
Why?
I'm sick. This is gonna be a struggle podcast for me.
Oh, I'm actually getting sick too. I woke up with a sore throat. You freaking! I know you didn't get me sick because we didn't
I haven't
see
seen you all-
anything together. I think my one buddy got me sick, so it started. Thank God I'm off tomorrow because it's Remembrance Day. but
Yeah, so I just want to and all our listeners know that maybe I'm not going to be at my best, and my voice might start to go in the by the time we get to the end of this podcast. So
that's your fault.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna try. I got a lot of water with me, and we're gonna get through this. What news you got this week?
Well, for everybody that's listening, I'm holding up a giant victorious Joker smile. It's a graphic novel called The Joker. And do you know why I'm holding this?
I want you to say something about money.
Yeah. The Joker is the most profitable superhero movie of all time.
Profitable in terms of budget, right? The amount of money
Yeah.
it spent to the amount of money it made.
Yeah, and it's in rated R movie as well.
Didn't we kind of talk about this? That's not really a superhero movie though.
Yes. It's not really. It's a good movie,
So
but
like,
it's not.
I have a question because Martin Scorsese hasn't badmouthed this movie yet. So like, does him not badmouthing it mean that it's not a superhero movie, or is this the exception to superhero movies that he will respect?
Well, he likes. I think he hasn't badmouthed it because there's barely any superhero elements to it. So that's probably why he hasn't said anything else yet about it. I mean, you can learn anything from anything, right? Even like
As
from,
we
like,
talked about in this podcast.
yeah, right. But everyone's entitled to their opinion,
Yes.
and just let them live their life,
You know,
even though they're wrong.
speaking of the Joker, those of you who listen to our podcast regularly, you know, we had a big argument on this podcast during the Joker, uh, you know, podcast. So be sure to listen to it. And there was a moment in the movie where, spoiler alert to the Joker, where Joaquin Phoenix's character is coming out of the apartment of his next door neighbors as he beats his character. And on this podcast, we discussed whether or not he killed her. And I said that I told Xavier unequivocally that it didn't happen. And do you remember what you said, Xavier?
I thought it did.
We argued about it. And thankfully, Todd Phillips has given us an answer. And I'm just going to read the quote. He doesn't kill her. Definitely. As the filmmaker and the writer, I'm saying he doesn't kill her. We like the idea that it's almost like a litmus test for the audience to say, how crazy is he? Most people that I've spoken to think he didn't kill her because they understand the idea that he only kills people that did him wrong. She had nothing to do with it. Most people understood that. Even as a villain, he was living by a certain code. Of course he didn't kill this woman down the hall. Now, I want to like focus on this for a second because I like the fact that I won. I think that makes me the knowingness ranter in the group.
Yeah, I guess if that's what you really want to be and achieve, then you can have that title.
Now, you have an opinion about this.
I think it's stupid
What's stupid that he didn't?
that he didn't kill her.
Why?
'Cause he says he has a code. Joker doesn't have a code.
It's a good point.
His code is chaos. I guess he does have a code. It's called chaos. And and the fact that it kind of ruins the movie a little bit more because why did he kill that nurse at the end? And I know
Well,
for
he probably
sure.
didn't kill the nurse at the end.
So he just
He
okay. Why did
probably
he harm her?
He probably
what
didn't
did
even
she
harm
do
her.
wrong
It probably
to?
was a fictional part of the movie. But what I kind of am curious to know here is, does this help you agree with my argument that he is not a villain in this movie, and that he is just an anti-hero?
He's still a villain because he's killing people that did him wrong and not society. So it's not this. It still helps your argument. I'm not gonna lie, it does help your argument that he's an anti-hero, but it's still only effective to him. Most of the people that he kills are more to him like that. It's still kind of messed up that he killed that one guy. You can't kill someone just for making fun of you on a TV.
I think it's more than that, but I get your point. I really
Yeah.
do. But so I just thought we'd let you know that the argument has been settled, and Michael Fuchs is 1-0 on this podcast when the directors speak.
Yeah, the director's dumb.
It's a big week this week in terms of the film industry.
Yeah.
Have you signed up for Disney Plus yet?
I've been trying to sign up.
They
and
won't
get
let
it.
you, right?
Yeah, that's. I tried to pre-order like many times and it won't let me. So, because sometimes at work it's a little bit slow, so I'm like, maybe I'll just sign up for Disney.
Hopefully your boss is not listening.
They're not listening. Hopefully not. Some days. But yeah, it's. I was trying to sign up for Disney Plus, couldn't get it touch. I watched a couple of trailers for The Mandalorian. It looks freaking wicked. It looks amazing. I'm very excited.
I cannot wait to watch this show, but I'm worried because I heard that it might spoil Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Well, that's your problem. Me,
But
I
why
don't
would
care
they
about
release
spoilers.
a movie that could spoil the next big movie that they want to make $1 billion?
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty weird that I don't think it'd be in there because it's
It's in the
Actually, it
past,
might.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it is in
sorry,
the
it's not.
past.
It's
It's
in the
right.
past. It's in the.
It's right. I think it's right after the not A New Hope.
Return
What's
of the
the
Jedi or
Return
Empire Strikes Back?
Return of the Jedi? It's right after Return of the Jedi and right before Force
Well,
Awakens.
that's a big gap. That's at least like a 30-year gap.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that could happen. Maybe we see. You know.
So needless to say, you're signing up for Disney Plus.
No, I hate it. I'm anti-Disney. I don't want to give them any more money anymore. They're trying to buy the whole world
Well, I did. Well, okay, I'm
and
gonna
control the media.
Yeah, I did hear that they're not gonna have any like controversial material on Disney Plus. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Typical Disney mood. They're trying to be all kid. I guess it's the old like. Remember that one scene in Dumbo where the crow guy was seen as racial, like I guess murders and everything like that. But then, what was the point of buying all that Fox material and everything like that? Like we all know, we're all grown adults here. You know, it's not all happy. You know,
I just
the Nintendo approach to thing, little kid games.
I'm torn on this because on the one hand, it makes sense. It's Disney. Like I get what you're saying. Like they have their raunchy stuff, but normally they don't put it under the Disney banner, right?
Yeah.
It's under one of their other kind of branches.
Yeah,
One of the other arms of Disney. But this is called Disney Plus. This is the Disney name to it. So the Disney name is squeaky clean. That is their MO. So
Squeaky clean,
I understand. Well, with their content. So I get that. Mm-hmm. What were you gonna say?
You know, Walt Disney is known to hate a certain. That's just. We're not gonna get into that.
Right?
You
Yeah,
know.
it's time sensitive here. Mm-hmm. But they historically they've always been, you know.
They try to look like the goody goods, you know, like, oh, this is all family, it's magic, and
my only
happy.
fear for Disney Plus in doing
the bad guy was really a friend, and
not
stuff
really.
like that, you know, like he wasn't really bad, he was just misunderstood.
But my only caution to Disney Plus by doing this is, how are they going to compete with all these other streaming services that have stuff for kids and adults? Your Netflixes, your Amazons, like how are they going to compete with that?
Oh, they have Star Wars, and they also have Hulu. So with Disney Plus, you can get a thing where you get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN on top of that.
You think Hulu
will probably run more the controversial
so there you
stuff.
Go. That solves the problem. Everything's good. Any other news you want to talk about?
I guess we got James Dean. Are you a James Dean fan?
I love James Dean. He died before his time. Let's just say that. He only made 3 movies.
Yeah.
3 fantastic movies.
I never watched any of them, so I wouldn't know.
East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, Giant.
Yeah, I never heard or read and watched any of them. I just
knew
who James
Dean is. They're all so good. You should definitely watch. Giant, I think, is his best one, even though he's just more of a supporting actor in it. Well,
James Dean also got a lot of movies. He did a movie with Lindsay Lohan too.
What movie did you do with Lindsay Lohan?
I forget what it's called. Let me look it up.
Okay, well, you look
at
that.
You can, yeah.
I don't. So, for those of you who aren't aware, they're going to use technology to recreate James Dean to make him into a modern day movie, and that's very controversial. Do you have any thoughts on it? Like, well, while you do it, while you look at that, I'll do my thoughts. I don't think this is a good idea. I'm going to side with Chris Evans and a couple other actors. This is a gateway to a big problem in the future. It's one thing to bring someone back to do a role that they've already done, kind of thing, to clean up a story arc to a movie because they died in the middle of a process, kind of like Paul Walker and the Fast and the Furious movies, where the movie's already in the middle of filming and you want to finish it up. I might understand it in that segment or in that kind of for that purpose, but to do someone who died 50 years ago, 40 years ago, I'm sorry, I don't think it's a good idea. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the porn star.
There you go. I was waiting.
I've seen that movie too.
Yeah.
I've seen the movie you're talking
Oh
about.
man, I was trying to figure out. I'm like, they're not gonna put him on IMDb. He wasn't
You should
there.
just search up Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah,
Anyways, all right. I think that's it for the news. Or
yeah,
do you
that's
have,
that's
do
it.
you have an opinion on this?
This was only a matter of time with the digital reagent when they brought what's his face for Admiral Tarkin. And they've been doing like VRs of Tupac and Michael Jackson performances and on stuff like that. It's only a matter of time before you don't even need the actor. You just pay for their face and everything, and there's just gonna be a digital version of them.
And I just think it's a danger because, like, the way this worked is the family bought the rights to James Dean.
Yeah.
Now you can use them in everything, so you don't have to pay actors anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You don't have
There's
to
gonna be no
develop new
actors.
actors. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's something to be said. Like, if you,
With the de-aging
yeah,
and everything like that, pretty soon there's not gonna be any actors. Not now. Give or take 50 years if the Earth doesn't get destroyed from all the other problems that we have in the world. But if that technology does get to that point,
see,
there's probably
and
gonna be no
it's
actors.
weird. I'm a little hypocritical here, and I'll be the first to admit it. Like, I like the use of this technology for General Tarkin in Rogue One. I thought it was a good touch, but again, this is an established character. I think that's where I think my line is drawn. If you have an established character in a franchise, I think it's acceptable. Even the de aging, I'm okay with it because you're using the actor. As long as you're using the actor himself, like it's still the actor working in
Yeah.
his job. He still has to act. You're just using technology to make him look younger.
So you're okay with like Leia being brought back,
Yeah, because
like
I
for
think,
her role and everything
but I
like
think that
that?
that makes sense because again, she died in the middle of her story. I think there's something to be
Yeah.
said
In the
about
middle
it.
of the movie, but like in Last Jedi, if they had like
But the
her
story
just
wasn't over, right? Like
yeah,
she's a big part of it. She was. It was. This was supposed to be her movie.
yeah, that's
Like
true.
apparently everyone said Last Jedi was not Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker was supposed to be her movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm very torn by it.
Honestly, I think a lot of people saw this coming when they used General Tarkin, so I'm not a big fan. Wasn't a big fan of the General Tarkin thing either. Like let's just enjoy them. They were great actors. We don't need to bring them back. Get someone to replace them or anything like that. I know they can't. Some actors are that iconic that you can't replace them, but things happen,
It's
and you
true.
gotta keep moving. Unfortunately.
All right, shall we get started into our deep dives?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's start with Doctor Sleep. So Xavier, what is your opening thoughts on the movie Doctor Sleep?
Okay, so I just watched The Signing on Monday. Uh, it
You
was
never
okay.
seen The Shining.
No, I never saw it
Oh
until
boy.
now. I just saw the one thing.
So
and I'm
I bet you didn't appreciate The Shining because you are a little bit of you know, millennial, and
listen, that has nothing to do with it. There's a lot of movies that I love. The Godfather. That was in the '70s. I love Star Wars.
all
That's in the
right, all
'70s.
right,
There's
all right.
Rocky.
But I think
There's a lot of good '70s movies and '80s movies that I enjoy.
all right.
The Shining is not one of them. The acting is so bad, except for Jack Nicholson, of course. He was great in that. But everybody else, very bad. I didn't know what was going on. It wasn't scary to me. Maybe back in the day that would be scary, um, but yeah, this is about the opening thoughts on Doctor Sleep. So when I watched Doctor Sleep, I was like, okay. I wasn't engaged at first. The first act, I was like, not really engaged. I was on my phone most of the time. But then around the second and third act, I started getting interested because I'm like, oh, these guys are. This is crazy. This is like a whole group of people, and now it kind of helps me explain what the world in The Shining is because I had no idea. I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea what was going on in the first Shining. I was like, why is he acting crazy because of the hotel? And I want to know more info. Like I want to learn more information about the hotel. I'm interested in the world. Let's say so. I enjoyed this movie.
Well, I'm curious to know your thoughts on not scary. I mean, like how many movies are actual horror movies are not scary, right? Like
Yeah.
I mean we're
I
adults.
didn't take that as a
Oh,
knock against the
all right,
movie.
okay.
That's not a knock against it.
Well, unlike you, I love The Shining. I saw The Shining for the first time probably like 20 years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago, somewhere in between there. And I love the lines. I love the story. I love a lot of the sequences and the concept. And unlike Stephen King, I actually like the ending of the movie. However, I understand why he likes the ending his ending better because of Doctor Sleep and where they went with Doctor Sleep. So I get that. When I heard they were making this sequel and they were making Doctor Sleep, I was actually very excited, and I felt this movie would could have worked, especially because of the character Danny. Right? I thought that the one thing The Shining didn't do very well was develop The Shining. Right? Danny's kind of quote unquote superpower.
Yeah.
So Danny getting his own movie was actually a great idea to me because this is your opportunity to show you what Danny is actually capable of. And for the most part, I'm with you. I think they don't disappoint. However, where I disagree with you is I really like the first and the second act, and I really detest the third act. So I think that's the one thing we're going to differ on when we do this podcast. I really thought the concept was great, and I was, from the moment the movie started, I was really into the story and the concept of that kind of true knot group.
Yeah.
And I felt the third act failed the movie, or at least the movie that I thought they were trying to create. So what I really liked, I love the acting. Rebecca Ferguson, I thought was great as the villain.
Yeah, she was really good.
Oh, absolutely.
I love the little top hat she wore.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. I thought Ewan McGregor did a great job. I thought Kaylee Curran, who played Abra, did a great job. The concept, I thought was fantastic. I love the villain. I love the group of the villains. I like why they did what they did. The quest for immortality. I think how it breaks people. I like how they show all aspects of them too. They show how do you turn someone into that group.
Yeah.
How they feed. How do they live forever? How you would die if you were a semi immortal person. I thought they did a really good job with that. I would have personally loved the entire movie if it was focused on that true knot group. So I guess what you might not have liked them as much as I did, because you didn't really like the first act where I thought that's where they were really developed. But I really liked that. I really liked the character Danny. I really liked his alcoholic, his problems.
His battle with alcoholism.
I think it related a lot to his character. I love how he sees like flies on when people are dying, and he couldn't even look at his mom in the face when she was about to die because her entire face was covered in flies. And where I disliked the third act, I felt it cheapened the plot. I think it brought back too much of The Shining, which I thought they needed to move away from a little bit. But I guess if you're looking at it as one movie, it does give closure. So I would have liked them to develop Rose and the True Knots a little bit more. And I would have loved them to explain a little bit of Abra. That's how my opening thoughts would be.
Okay,
let's deep dive into this. So the movie begins in 1980, pretty much either right as The Shining is going on, or right after, or right before The Shining. And we're outside a camp, and we see this girl, Violet, and she's walking away from her mother. And she sees this girl who we find out her name is Rose, sitting on like a tree stump. And she calls her over. They're kind of like showing her like magic tricks. And this girl, Violet, is kind of surrounded by this group who we find out are going to be the True Knots. And they kill her.
Yeah.
And then later we see a sign of that she's been missing. Like, we don't know she's dead, but because of the sign, that's how we know.
Yeah.
So what did you...
Stephen King really likes killing kids, eh?
Yeah. But I mean, like, there's no way to put a villain over more than killing kids.
Yeah. It's just every time. Like, the one scene is so... I'm not gonna lie, when that's the scene that got me into the movie. I'll tell you in the one scene. Also... We probably said this now, but if you haven't guessed, we have spoilers for Doctor Sleep, Midway, and everything else. Yeah, we dropped the ball, but if you've been listening all this time, you know there's going to be spoilers. And
yeah, spoiler podcast, right on the title of our episode. All right. So what did you think Rose and these people were when you first watched it, before you saw what they were?
No idea, because I didn't really understand what happened in The Shining, so I had no clue. I'm like, okay, it's just a bunch of people that kill kids. So, maybe she has a power or something. I didn't know.
So this is what I thought, and tell me if this makes sense to you. I thought they were like the ghosts from the Shining movie.
Oh, okay.
And even when they convert Andy, when they convert her later on, Rose tells her that she died.
Hmm.
right? Andy says, "Oh, I felt like I felt like I was dying." She's like, "You did die." So I
Hmm.
felt like they were ghosts or like semi ghosts. And this is the one thing I wish they developed a little bit more in this movie because I found it really confusing later on in the film. Is that kind of how you read it or
No,
saw it? How did you
no.
see it then?
Like I said, I didn't really know much. I just thought they were just people that had superpowers or something like that, and just creeps.
But did you not think they were dead? Even after Andy says like that.
Oh, at that point, oh no,
Sorry,
I
later
didn't.
on. Like I thought
Sorry, I thought you
initially.
meant when he first met
Sorry. Okay,
them.
so later on, that's what you thought though.
I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I wasn't really tuned in until one certain scene. So
Okay.
I'll tell you.
So did you like how they started this movie with this kid Violet and the True Knots and not Danny? Or did you like that?
I wasn't. The way I felt about it was, I was like, okay. Um, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of The Shining, so I was like, okay, what's going on here? I guess the kid's dead. All right, awesome. I wasn't too engaged. What really picked, like, I was looking here and there, I was seeing the scenes. I'm like, okay, look at Danny. I guess he's going through alcohol problems and everything like that. Plus, I didn't watch this. I used a little bit of an illegal access, and it kept playing weird ads in the middle of the movie. So I'd hear people coughing, and then tell me that I need to go on a casino. So some of the scenes got blocked fully for me, and I couldn't see anything.
Fine. Okay. Well, I did like it. I liked it a lot. I thought I thought Danny in 1980 still didn't understand his powers. So this gives the audience an immediate idea of who these people were, what they wanted, and how they hunted. It gave us all the information we're going to need throughout the entire movie. So I
Hmm.
really liked starting there because I thought so. This is one thing that I'm going to criticize the third act for. I thought this movie was more going to be about them and their problems because of how they started. But because the third act's all about Danny, I think this is misplaced now. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I think this start or the decision to start here should have made a different kind of ending to the story because I think it's fascinating. But nevertheless, we were introduced to
Just
Dan.
like kid killers.
I know I wasn't hoping they would
No,
survive.
no, I'm just joking.
I'm
No,
just
I'm
saying I would
joking.
have liked more about them. We'll get to the third act.
Yeah.
So Danny, this we meet him, and this is months after the incidents from The Shining and the Overlook Hotel, and apparently he hasn't spoken since, at least not to his
Yeah.
mother.
Well, yeah, it's a traumatizing experience, right? Your dad tried to kill you and your mother.
Yeah, he is still haunted by the girl from room 237, right? The
Hmm.
naked girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So he also taught. We see him talking to Dick Halloran,
Yeah, I
and
was
that's the
like,
guy from the Shining. Did you
yeah, I
pick?
was like, yeah, I picked that up, and I'm like, I thought he was dead. I thought he had like an axe to his side, but then I kind of figured, I'm like, maybe he's a ghost, or maybe he's like, I didn't know what's his face. I guess he can shine too.
He could have shined in the first one, right? That's how
Yeah.
he immediately he's the one who calls it the Shining, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So he tells Danny how to get rid of these monsters. He shows him a box and says, "Make this box in your head and lock him up."
Yeah. That's that's what I do too. Whenever I have a problem, you just bottle it down, and then eventually, you blow up.
So this he does all of that, and he's able to put the girl in the box, and he seems to be doing better because of it.
Hmm.
So is this what you expected from Danny when this movie started? Because you just had seen the Shining. He's traumatic, right? This makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Even like, and whenever a child does have a traumatic experience, your subconscious just digs it very deep in your mind, and and then it just stays there until eventually you go to therapy and figure out why you are the way you are.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a great start to the movie again for Danny. Again, I was engaged right off the bat with
That was an
everything.
interesting part for me.
I thought that this movie did a great job starting. Like it I was caught hook, line, and sinker. Did you like the box story arc?
Yeah, why would I not?
Well, I did. I liked it a
Like
lot.
I liked it how its use of it in the third act as well. I don't know if you liked it, but I loved it.
Well, I didn't like it. So I liked locking up the demons. It shows you his power, right? His strength. I liked it until I knew what they were going to do with it in the third act. I thought he was going to lock up the ghost because, again, I kept thinking that these True Knot people were ghosts, and he was going to lock them up into his head and just show his power. However,
That just make him look like a crazy person.
well, I don't want to spoil exactly what
Yeah.
happens. I really want to focus on the third act itself.
Okay.
So
Let's,
the movie cuts to 2011, and there's kind of three story arcs that will run parallel throughout the movie until they kind of converge.
all connect.
So we follow the True Knots, and I'm going to start with them because they interested me the most, especially in this period. So they begin by stalking this girl, Andy. So Andy has shining powers. She just has to say something, and people do it. So if I said, like, go to sleep,
Yeah.
you would kind of just go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So she is 15 years old, and she is seduced. What she does is seduces pedophiles, and then she like leaves a mark on their face and kind of tells them that every time someone asks you about the mark, you like slither like a snake, and you do like what you should be doing for trying to seduce a 15-year-old, knowing that they're 15.
She's doing justice.
It's
She's
very
a vigilante.
similar to like the girl with the dragon tattoo, right? Where she like kind of.
I never watched that movie, but.
Oh. Well, basically, she puts like a mark on him that says rapist.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do in prison. They brand you.
Do you like Andy and this scene?
I wasn't a big fan of Andy. I wasn't so you were more into the top knots.
True Knots.
The True Knots, whatever. I just got because he had a top hat. I thought they're called top knots. The True Knots. I was interested in them as well, but I guess I was happy with what happened to them and everything like that. And I wasn't the biggest. Andy was my least favorite one, though. I was more interested in the head honcho.
Fair enough.
Top hat.
I agree. I think Rose is the most intriguing character of all of them, but I like this. But what I like about this is I think it, again, helps the world building because it shows that all these shine sensitive people, they don't all have the same power. They can't all do the same things. They all have different elements that work for them.
Mm-hmm. And she's heavy psychically.
And what I really like about Andy is we think as she's being manipulated to join this group that she's this good character that's going to be gone awry. But right here, she's not a good character, but she's not a bad character. Right off the bat, they don't give us any qualms about what she is.
She's gray.
She's a very great character, and this will make the turn very easy. So when we see Rose stalking her, I think we're surprised to learn that she's not going to kill her, that she's going to turn her. I think that's a fair statement. Is that what you expected?
I thought she was going to kill her.
Yeah, but no, they decide to convert her, and then she becomes a willing member of the group. Now, do you like this? Like this scene of them turning her?
Yeah, it was very trippy scene and everything like that when I saw that, and I was just like... And it was an interesting scene to me. I liked seeing, like you said, it's good for world building.
I thought it was great.
Seeing how the true knots operate and everything like that. Seeing where their powers from, their weaknesses and everything like that.
Their connectivity too, right?
Yeah.
How they connect with each other.
Yeah, well, you have to if you're killing kids.
Well, in general, I know what you mean, but yeah, no, I know what you mean.
You're all psychopaths.
Yeah.
They're drinking Kool-Aid.
So the second character that we're kind of introduced to in 2011 is this young girl. I think she's like about 5 years old at the time. Her name's Abra Stone, and we just see her with very strong shining abilities.
Yeah.
She is at her birthday party. She has all the forks and the knives like right on the roof.
We can just say they have psychic powers. Because pretty much shining is
telekinetic powers.
Yeah, telekinetic.
But not always, because in Andy's case, it's not, right? Andy's power is like a verbal. She can say to do something and you do it.
Yeah, that's psychic. Like a psychic can tell you.
That's not telekinetic. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's psychic. Yeah,
they're psychic. They have mutant powers.
Yeah.
With some kind of
with the mind.
Yeah, with the mind.
Which is psychic.
Yes, you're right. You're right. You're 100% right. Mm-hmm. So, and then we have Danny, and he is an alcoholic who does drugs,
Fights people.
He fights people. He's suppressing his abilities. He's still haunted
And he's
by
slamming.
by his demons. He sleeps around, like
Sleeps
Xavier
around
said.
because he can read their minds and knows
And
what the women
we
want. I want that power.
and he hits rock bottom when he steals from this woman he just slept with, who has this like toddler,
Yeah.
and just steals the money.
Yeah, but she stole from him, so it was okay.
No, she didn't steal from him. She just used his money to buy drugs. That he
Oh.
did.
Oh, okay. She used my money, mate.
Yeah, you did the drugs too. Okay. So he decides to go north to this small town. I think it's New Hampshire, and he gets help from
Start
who
a new
becomes his
life.
best friend Billy, who is shining sensitive as well.
Yeah, he looks like Colin Kaepernick.
And he decides to go to Billy to get help. He goes to AA. He gets a job as an orderly where he's going to help people that are close to death with their last kind of words, listen to their story,
Mm-hmm.
and kind
Which is
of.
good. I like those scenes. Those are
Again,
touching scenes for me.
absolutely.
You know.
So you like this sequence too, then?
Yeah.
To
It
show
was
him,
nice showing that he's transforming into a better person. He's starting a new life.
shows his pain.
Yeah. Plus, like, honestly, I would not expect any, like, to go knowing what Danny went through. That's probably exactly the person that he would have became anyways. Because, obviously that's going to mess you up. You get traumatized by a haunted hotel, and then your father tries to kill you, and
And you see dead people.
and you see dead people. So it's not the greatest.
It's a great development of his character, though. It
Yeah,
really
right.
is.
It's follows the streamline, right? It's not far off from, unfortunately, other people that have had it happen to them in real life, right? It's sad, but
So I guess the question I have for you is, if you had these powers, who would you be more like? Would you be like Abra, the person who's prideful with her powers and happy to have them? Would you be
hell
like
yeah, I'd
Andy?
be Abra.
Hold on. Would you be like Andy, who's more of the vigilante, who wants to take the law into her own hand? Would you be like Danny, who hides his power for his life? Or would you be like Rose, the villain?
No, I said it'd be like Abra.
Yeah, I
You don't
wonder.
even have to say the whole thing. Everyone knows Abra's the best character in this, and she has most powers. She's the strongest they ever seen, aside from Danny. Yeah, I'd rather be like
No,
Abra.
I'm saying, what would you rather be like? I'm saying, what would you be like? Your personality. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'd do Abra.
So maybe if you listen to the whole question, you'd understand.
Yeah, but it also depends on your upbringing and everything like that, right? I say if I had the same upbringing I did, I'd probably be like Abra, but it all depends on how you're raised and everything like that.
See, I feel like I'd want to be like Abra, but I don't think I would be like Abra. I think I'd probably end up being more like Danny.
Yeah, because you're scared of your powers.
That I think I would be. I'm absolutely.
I'd love my powers. I'd be like,
I would like. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd be the villain, but I mean, there's. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I could say whatever I want, but the ability to live forever or something like that would be really.
Yeah, that's something you like. I never wanted to live forever.
But you can live young forever. You don't have to age. You can live young and with a group
Yeah,
of
but
people.
that's people. Like, yeah, I guess if you do it with a group of people, but like, if you're the only one living forever, this is a whole different
I understand
philosophy,
that.
right?
Well, you got to go with this. You got to go with this group, right?
Oh.
Where you don't live by yourself. You'd have a group of people that you'd follow.
That'd be lame.
I hate. There's.
Because if you get connected with somebody else that's not in the group, then it's like sucks.
So it's gonna be really weird. I'd probably be either Danny or Rose.
Oh,
I don't think there's an in between for me.
Wow. Okay.
I definitely
Get
wouldn't.
this guy help. Hello,
But I do
FBI.
but-
If you're listening, he doesn't actually mean what he just said.
But is there?
Please don't go through our garbage.
Is it? Does this movie do a good job? I know you didn't like this act, but does this movie do a good job giving you 4 different ways to approach having these shining powers?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't like the act, but now that we talk about it, I actually like it more now. So my score is probably going to go up. So
Well, I'm glad I'm helping you out.
yeah.
So I guess I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it nevertheless. These these 1980 and 2011 sequences were a big chunk of this movie. The movie's 2.5 hours. It's about an hour of the film. Would you have cut any of it now that we've actually talked about it?
No. It's good for world building. There's another movie I would have cut a lot of stuff out, but we'll get to that later.
I didn't. I think this is all great. I love everything about it. I like every aspect. The feeding, the turning, the development of Danny. It was all necessary and all really well done. But now we get into our second act, where I'm assuming you're going to get kind of more engaged into it. And we meet Danny now in 2019 is now 8 years sober. He's getting that sober chip.
Yeah.
And he becomes Doctor Sleep because he sleeps with he sits with all these people before they go to sleep, the last sleep.
Yeah.
He starts talking through with Abra through like some kind of chalkboard in his thing.
Hello.
And they've been doing it for 8 years. And he basically found his peace.
Mm-hmm.
He's happy. He's kind of gotten rid of his demons. He's
no, he just got rid of his demons. He's just
locked them up into their head.
Yeah. Right. They're just locked away.
So you're happy with this?
Yeah.
You
can't fully progress until you exorcise the demons.
But once again, the True Knots are what pushes this story forward, and it's fascinating every aspect. So now it's their time to feed, and here's the thing. They're starving. Kids apparently don't just have that shine potential anymore. They don't they call it steam, right? Or that's
they
what
call
feed.
it steam for them. Yeah.
It's their shining ability, but they have it's because of their steam levels.
Mm-hmm.
The thought process of why these children are no longer shine sensitive or don't have steam anymore. Do you know the reason they give?
Is it because of the drugs?
The cell phones.
Cell phones? Oh.
Did you like this element?
That was pretty interesting.
I loved it. I'm like, it's something that Crow Daddy says. Like, it's just a slight line. It's like, maybe it has to do with all the cell phones. And I'm like, yes, it does.
There's a lot of great symbolism and parallels to the real world with this film that I really enjoyed. The whole thing, I don't want to get too much into this, but like the whole thing about cell phones taking away your creativity and your ability to shine, right? Yeah. It's I can definitely see that happening, right?
I see it in the classroom all the time.
Yeah, right? People, like I said, which is back to the podcast, I've taken off of social media because, like I said, I started seeing I'm like I need to not be a slave to my phone and enjoy the real world out there. I think everybody should disconnect at least a couple times a year.
Yeah, so I liked it. I really did. So even with all these problems, they keep a storage of like reserve of some steam to kind of to tide them over. And we know it's been 6 months since they last fed, so they spend the night. They eat steam from this container.
Yeah. And
Crow Daddy has found a boy in Iowa who plays baseball. So they all drive to Iowa. They find him, and they torture him to death because that's how your steam comes out.
Yeah, because it's pain, fear, and suffering.
So and they start.
That's when I got engaged.
Oh, it is.
This is the scene. I was like, okay. Then I heard the scream. Like that kid's acting was brilliant.
Do you know who that is?
Who was it?
That's Jacob Tremblay.
Who's that?
The guy from Good Boys.
Oh,
the main
character.
That guy from Room.
Oh yeah, okay.
I knew it immediately when I saw him in the helmet. I'm like, I think that's Jacob Tremblay.
That makes sense.
He's a great actor. I can't believe they got him for this bit part.
Yeah, because like that scream was like, I was like, oh, geez, like this is crazy.
I love this scene. What did you like about it?
Just the whole, it was very. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna get into like story aspect. It was great, but like the cinematography, the scenes of them, like all just. Was kind of a little bit funny as well because they seemed like crackheads, like because they just finally fed and they're like, oh yeah, like that's that good stuff, like they're all and then their eyes just start changing. I like that little effect as well. It was a really great scene, and I was like, okay, this is actually interesting.
I love it, but I you can talk about like the cinematography. That's all right. I agree with everything you said, but I'm gonna add to it. I like it from a story perspective. The calculatedness of it, right? Mm-hmm. They stalk this kid for weeks, get his routine. They work together, right? Andy uses the power to bring him into the car. Like they work together as a team. It's planned out. And again, it shows the process of how they stay alive, right? How they do it. And it's like immediately you can know that they're bad people. There's no doubt that they're not. There's no shades of gray that they're kind of not bad. They're doing it for a reason. Like Xavier says, they're like druggies, right?
Yeah.
What they do is bad. They're just trying to justify it.
Yeah.
Now, while this is all going on, Abra, who, as Xavier said, is the most powerful person in this movie, she senses it and freaks out.
Starts
It's like she
screaming.
feels what's going on.
Yeah.
And Rose, who is the ringleader and the strongest in the group, feels her enter.
Yeah, feels her presence.
Like that she's spying on him. And now Abra is going to investigate, and she eventually uses her power to stalk Rose in a food store.
Yeah.
And Rose, because she's strong, feels it immediately.
Yeah.
And she tries to get into Abra's head to kind of, find out where she is so they can eat her. Or turn her, one of the two. And
she definitely wanted to eat her.
And she's able to kick Rose out of her own head and push her away.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting. So Rose, who gets freaked out, goes back, calls Crow Daddy and be like, this girl, this is what she did. I'll be more prepared next time. So she goes to the top of her roof. She astral projects herself into this girl's room. And she, starts reading through her files that are in there. And as she does, a spotlight projects. Knowing that Abra knew she was there the entire time, traps her, catches her hand inside the file,
and busses it up.
And then starts going into her own hat.
Yeah.
And she is able to, Rose is barely able to escape. Her hand gets, broken, destroyed.
Yeah, it's all mangled.
Thank you. So she escapes but is wounded. Now, do you like the strength of Abra?
Oh, I love it. It's great. There's only I might have seen where you fall off in the third act. We'll get to that, but yeah, I like the strength of Abra because he's like a prodigy kid, right? There's always going to be prodigies growing up where you can be the greatest and really good at something, but someone's just naturally talented you. A la LeBron James.
See, I don't like it. I don't like it even a little bit. But mostly I don't like it because I know where the story goes. So her strength is so strong, right? That's what we're gonna get from here. So strong that why is Danny the one that's gonna trap her in the third act? She's supposed to be the strong character. She's clearly the smartest and strongest character of any character in this movie.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. That's the thing that the movie falls a little bit for me.
Yes,
is that she, which I thought that at one point he's like, okay, we can't take her alone. And I'm like, what do you mean? She single-handedly one-upped her twice.
Which is why the third act makes no sense to me. I think when we talk this through, you're gonna start getting on board more with what I'm gonna be.
No, I'm not on board because I already realized that when I was watching the movie.
Okay, so I would have made her weaker. You wouldn't.
Not weaker. I would have probably picked a different kind of ending and a different way to take her down.
Okay.
Which was an interesting way. It was an interesting way.
Excuse me.
So maybe I guess we probably could. Now that I think about it, maybe making her a little bit weaker than.
Or at least dumber. She's so smart.
Yeah.
She's able to trap someone who's been around for thousands of years. We
Yeah.
know she was around in the time of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, she's able to be tricked by a 13-year-old.
Child prodigy, baby.
I'm just saying, there's something to be said about it.
Yeah.
So, I guess...
Or maybe she can't fully... No, she's showing the controller powers and everything.
So, I guess, with knowing this information, knowing that Rose's hand has been mangled, should the True Knots go looking for this girl?
Yeah.
Even without Rose? Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to leave without Rose to go find this girl.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that makes no sense. Rose is the most powerful person, and you work as a group. Sometimes you got to let some steam go.
Nah, man, they need it. It's hard to get... They're crackheads. It's like saying, hey, man, just let some crack go. They're not going to say no. They need that fix, baby, and that's the big rock.
So Abra's going to go to Danny to get some help. I don't understand why, but I guess because she can't fly over to Iowa to find the glove.
She's still 15 years old, so she can't have, she needs an adult supervision.
I guess that's the only reason, because otherwise there's no other reason for Danny to help. So he says no at first. Is he right to say no?
He doesn't want anything. He's scared of his demons. That's like a reminder of something that was bad in his
Yeah,
past.
and
So
he's
he's
happy
right.
now.
Yeah.
Why
So
you
why
get
are you
back
really?
in? You're
Yeah.
out.
You know.
But that night he's visited by Dick, who again says this is the last time I'm going to visit you. He tells Danny that the True Knots know where the girl is and they're coming
Yeah.
for her. They're coming for her. Is this Danny's problem?
It's not his problem, but everyone has a conscience.
See, this is the
He wants
thing,
to
right?
help.
Dick uses guilt. He's like, I came to help you.
Yeah.
This is not Danny's problem. He doesn't have to help this girl.
He doesn't have to, but some people are good people, Mike, and they have to do the right thing. So he doesn't have to do it, but he can do it.
Would you do it?
Would I do it?
If you were Danny, would you do it?
Probably. I would. I feel bad. It's like I can't. Could you sleep at night knowing? Oh, you know what? This girl that's missing. I just let her die, and I could have helped her. But no, if he's really changed and he's really reformed and happy with his life, he should help her.
I mean, knowing what I know, I don't think she needed any help.
He didn't know that though.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Knowing what I know,
Yeah.
I think he ends up just getting himself killed in all of this.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Danny decides to go. He gets his buddy Billy to help him, and they go to Iowa. They retrieve the baseball glove, and then they're going to use the baseball glove so Abra can manipulate or pinpoint where these people are that are coming after her are going. So the plan is the True Knots. They go in guns a-blazing to this national park in New Hampshire, and
they get slapped, shot up.
They get sniped to death by Billy and Danny.
Yeah, I don't know if Danny was that good with a gun, but I guess he
Except
took some.
Andy, who gets shot in the shoulder, and then when Billy shoots her to kill her, she's able to tell Billy to turn the gun on himself and
Kill yourself.
yeah, and he does.
Yeah.
So for me, this scene is kind of the beginning of the end of my enjoyment of this film. How about you?
I was enjoying it. I like that part. I like to see them get their comeuppance.
Can I tell you why I don't? This is the beginning of the end for me.
Why?
So what we know about the True Knots. I mean, you call them junkies, but I don't think that's the right word for them because junkies are idiots. These are calculated, planning, how they use their power type people.
Yeah, but they're attacking kids, and you don't need to plan that hard to trick a 13-year-old or an 8-year-old.
This
or a
girl's
4-year-old.
stronger than Rose, and they know this. Like, think about this question for you. If you're there, you see this girl in the woods by herself sitting on a park bench. Some of these people have been around for 1,000 years. And presumably, they're all are strong. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in this group to begin with.
Yeah.
Because Rose would pick the best. So why are they just going there like with no brains?
Listen, I don't know if you know, like they said, they established very early in the movie that they were desperate for the mist or whatever it's called.
You're right, but here's the thing, Xavier.
But when you're desperate for mist, you lose reason for thought. You're not going to be reasonable. Even the most logical people crumble when... I think the mist is like pretty much like a drug to them, and it's like an addiction. And when you're addicted, you don't make rational decisions. So rational thoughts out the window for them.
I understand what you're saying, but Xavier, they were desperate. They still planned that Bradley death, that baseball player death, with precision, time, and calculation.
Yeah, but that was a child, and they took that time because they had the time to plan. This one was more, okay, we got to protect Rose. I think they did it more to protect Rose as well.
Really?
To go after her.
Really there, Xavier. Then how do you explain that Crow Daddy, he was able to realize that maybe she wasn't there and went to her actual house to abduct her and kill her dad? He apparently knew that Abra was at home the entire time. This makes no sense to me because here's the thing. So why send the other people into the woods? Have them drive to the woods. Why go out of the car? If you know the girl's at home in 2019 where you have cell phones, why can't you be like, I got the girl. Come on with us.
I think they were pretty much bait.
But they need to be that they were bait for the Abra plan. But like think about it. If Danny and Billy are taking quote unquote Abra because she's not actually there to
Yeah.
these woods, right? And Crow Daddy knows this. We just need to make it look like we're buying into this plan. All they have to do is follow them right to the woods because they're not going to be able to get back to save the Abra that's at the house.
Yeah, but even if they didn't get even if they were bait and everything like that, and they didn't, and Dan, I forget what his name, Crow Daddy took Abra. I'm pretty sure Danny and Thing would probably just follow them back to where Abra is.
Fair
as
enough,
well.
but you're now walking into a trap. You're supposed to see they're smart enough to realize that they were. Crow Daddy is apparently smart enough to realize it was a trap.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that didn't even matter anyways because he underestimated her anyways because she
that's-
overpowered.
No, he didn't. She did not do that. Don't jump ahead here. It's Danny that overpowered. They don't know that Danny is a shining person.
Yeah.
Do not add to this, okay? Right now we're talking about the fact that these True Knots got slaughtered for no reason. No reason.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're addicted to drugs, man. Addiction's
But they're not
crazy.
addicted to drugs. They were smart enough to. Xavier.
They're so addicted. You know that everything they did was like a junkie. That's what the symbolism was for. That's why they always were.
These people are
you not see-
calculated. Crow Daddy was able to feel. Then if they are addicted, just answer this question:
Okay.
Why is Crow Daddy? Why does he know it's a trap from the beginning?
Because he probably, I don't know what his power is, but he probably has a power that can sense that it's a trap and knows really pinpoint where she
Then
is.
why wouldn't he tell his other people? Why would he send them to a slaughterhouse? This is what I don't understand.
Because he wants it all for himself.
That's not. Oh, come on, Xavier.
Drug
you know
addict.
That's not what they're.
That's what it is, man.
But
it's all
not that.
addiction.
But they're all they're a group. They you understand that they're all connected to each other, right? When one of them dies, they all become weaker.
I didn't notice that part in the movie.
You notice how Rose can feel when they all can feel when each other die. They're all connected. It's in the book.
Yeah.
So they're all connected. They don't want them to die because that actually weakens them. They're not junkies. They might be junkies in your sense of the word, but they're not junkies in this scene. They're a very smart group of people. It's actually not well thought out. Rewatch it, and I'm telling you, it's not thought out at all. Anyways, all the other thing I don't like about
But the thing is, even if they knew how powerful she was, even if they did calculate everything, they still would have got slaughtered anyways, because Abra probably would have seen them coming a mile away. So it doesn't even.
how have they been slaughtered?
Because Abra if Abra can
Abra was-
beat
okay,
if
listen,
Abra
listen.
can beat what's her face, then surely she can beat the entire
listen,
group.
though, but listen, it's not the entire group because Abra is not actually there, right? Things could have played out identically. What happens in this scene? I'm just gonna set it up again for the audience. So, Billy and Danny drive into a national park with apparently Abra in the back seat. She's astral projecting herself.
Yeah.
So the two of them, Billy and Danny, go up into the mountain, into the hills with their snipers, and Abra sitting on a park bench. The bad guys, the True Knots, appear. They walk to her and they give her like a dose of something to suppress the
shining ability. Yeah.
Okay. They're in the middle of the woods, at least half an hour away from the house of Abra. Now, while that's going on, at the exact same time, Crow Daddy is at Abra's house. And at Abra's house, Crow Daddy uses her magic, that same medicine, that same drug
to slow her down.
to slow her down. So here's the thing: if that works out the same way, if those True Knots drive to the park bench, but they don't come out of their car, at the same time, Abra's still up astral projecting, waiting for them to come. They can even walk out of the car. They don't have to walk to her. And he will still take her out of commission at her home.
Yeah.
So my question is,
maybe I feel like they're missing an extra scene that fully explains that, but that's what happens with Hollywood, right?
I don't think there is an extra scene. I think it's very poorly brought out. Which
Who knows? I guess we're just not going to agree
I
on
guess we're
this.
not going to agree
And
upon this. Anyways, the other thing I really don't like about this scene is that Danny was also told by Andy to like go to sleep, and I did not like the fact that he was susceptible to this. Did you?
uh, I mean, I could understand some people's shining powers work on other people. So maybe Andy was a little bit of a prodigy of her own.
But see, again, it didn't work on Rose. And to me, we were under the at least I was under the impression this entire movie, I was under the impression that he's supposed to be one of the strongest, and Danny himself is a prodigy. We see this a couple times, right?
Yeah, but
He's able to trick Rose later in the movie, when and she confirms he's stronger than normal when she talks to him. So we know
Yeah.
he's around that same level. I don't think it
He's
should be able
around
to
the
work.
level, but they also said because he repressed it so long that he's not as strong as he could be.
Maybe that's it. I didn't like it though. Did you like that? It would have
I
been better if he
thought,
could have been. He would not have fallen for it.
no, I was okay with him. It's okay having the main character be a little bit weaker and and get attacked. I
Okay.
wasn't upset with it.
I didn't like it, but that's just me. And again, we can disagree upon that too. We're gonna probably disagree on a lot of this for the rest of this
A lot
talk.
of the third movie.
So, while Crow Daddy is bringing Abra to Rose to eat her, Danny uses his powers now to astral project. And again, this is why I think he's so powerful. And I don't like the Andy sequence. He's able to take control of of Abra's body, which has never been done before.
Hmm.
Which he's never done before. Again, showing you his power. And he's able to crash the car. And apparently Crow Daddy wasn't wearing a seatbelt, because that makes sense. And he flies through the window and dies. I didn't like this. I'm going to assume you did.
Yeah, I wasn't upset about it.
Okay. Then we get our big. I just think don't think it's so anticlimactic. You've developed these true knots for 2/3 of the movie, and you just got rid of them all.
Yeah, because the movie's not about them. It's about Danny and Abra, because they are also getting developed at the same time as well.
Not nearly as much. So we get our big reveal now. Danny's whole plan. His plan is to go back to the Overlook Hotel. He tells her that it's a place that's dangerous to people like us. So that's the solution. Rose is coming after us. Let's go to a place that's dangerous to us.
It's dangerous for all of them. Plus,
Yeah, but
it
he
weakens
doesn't know
her.
that. Listen. Abra is stronger than Rose. Why do you need to go to a place that weakens Abra and him?
No, that's the thing I didn't really like about the movie. The whole plan for the hotel wasn't the greatest plan ever. If Abra was stronger than her at the beginning, that's the kind of the issue I had with the movie.
Yes. And I just don't understand. Like, they just killed the entire team with ease. Like, they
Yeah,
didn't struggle at all. The only reason Billy died is because the dying girl told him to kill himself.
yeah. Probably
This-
just snipe her in the head. Maybe she can stop bullets.
I mean,
Maybe Ray has telekinetic powers. We didn't get to really see the full array of powers, right? They never established their
Yes.
power set, so they can kind of gives them the free range to throw in a power whenever they can.
His entire theory is based on the fact that these creatures in the hotel might be more dangerous to Rose. That's why they're going to the hotel. They might be as dangerous. To me, it doesn't make it's not a good plan. It's not a calculated plan. It's not even a logical plan.
Yeah, well, he's not really experienced in this as well, right? It's not like he knows how to hunt these guys.
In fact, at this point in the movie, I still think they're ghosts. I mean, even think about it. What's Danny's plan to? Now you can go into this in the third, because we're in the third act. What's Danny's plan to get rid of Rose?
Just open up his demons, and then his demons
No,
eat her.
initial plan. Initial plan.
Oh, then forget the initial. Let me see. I
To-
saw
to
to
lock
lock
her
her in
into a
the
box.
Yeah,
Would that make sense? She's a ghost.
yeah, but she's not a ghost.
Oh my! But then why lock her into a box?
Maybe because he thinks she's a ghost.
It's the. You don't think you don't think she could have been put into a box?
Not too powerful.
No, I don't. I think she could
She's
have
the
been.
main villain. That'd have been too easy.
Okay. I
Maybe
guess.
Abra locks her into a box.
I think the only reason here is this is the point you want to make it. This is the point where it's like, oh, actually, by the way, this isn't the True Nod or Abra's movie. This is all about Danny and him dealing with his demons. So we're gonna go to this hotel, and Danny's gonna go into this hotel by himself to wake up the hotel. And while he's there, he talks to his dad in a scene that I think is absolutely pointless.
Yeah, that scene is pointless.
Okay,
No,
we're in agreement.
I didn't like that scene. Didn't need it.
And then Rose arrives, and she confronts Danny and Abra, and Danny puts Rose into his head, and she breaks out just before she's going to be put into a box, and then fights Danny with an axe.
Yeah.
Rose is able to take the axe, hit him in the knee, nick an artery, and it looks
just
like
eat him and stuff like
starts
that.
eating him. And then he decides to open
all his demons.
All of his boxes, and all of the ghosts from the first Shining reappear, and they kill Rose. I think this was anticlimactic, a waste of a good villain, and made 0 sense. How about you?
I was okay with the way she died. I just didn't like the plan. I thought Abra would have been more like she kind of just sits in the back and runs and hides, even though she's more powerful than Abra. So
yeah. I just don't understand any of it, because the monsters then turn on Danny, but they don't kill him. They decide to possess him. Why possess him and not Rose? In fact, why would they kill Danny right away? Because Danny's the one who possessed them, and take Rose.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. So they decide.
Maybe they just like him, because they remind him of his father.
So he decides to go, or the possessed now Danny goes to find Abra to kill her, just like Jack did to Danny in the first movie.
It's pretty much a reenactment of the first movie.
Except when he gets there, Abra's like, "You're not going to kill me." And at the moment the axe is about to hit her head, he stops her and takes control of his body back, tells her to leave. He goes into the boiler room as, again, possessed, and then dies.
Yeah.
And the entire hotel catches fire, and it purifies everything.
Yeah, he faced his demons.
You want to explain to me what happened in this last sequence? The third act that you like so much?
Yeah, he faced his demons. It's pretty much him coming to terms with everything that happened in his life. He made amends. And then the final thing that he needed to do was move on from his what's it called? The haunting.
And this is the thing. This is why I don't.
He exorcised his demons.
This is why I don't really like this movie, because there was no need to go back at all to this hotel, and I can't get over that. I think that it wasn't a good decision. I get why they did it, but it didn't work for me. The movie kind of ends with Danny talking to Abra in her own room, but he's now dead. And she walks out of the room, but before she goes for dinner, she sees the woman from 237 in her bathtub, and she goes in to put it in a box. Did you like the ending? Because I thought
the
hotel was purified.
I thought she just was friends with it or something.
No, it was the same, because it was exactly what happened with Danny, right? He walked in and he closed the door.
Yeah.
The exact
Well,
same
that's
thing.
a typical Stephen King thing. Nothing's really ever dead in Stephen King in his books, so it's always going to happen.
I don't like the ending. And again, this is a Stephen King thing as well. He doesn't write good endings, and I think this movie would have been much better if the third act was completely different.
I enjoyed it. The third act was now I think about it, the third act was weaker than the first act, and then we talked about it. But I'm still enjoyed it, and it was I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10 because I liked the performances, I liked the symbolism that it used and everything like that. It was and I enjoyed it for the most part. Now that I think about it,
I just wish. I think this movie had a potential to be great, and I just think it was okay because that third act to me ruined a great performance by Rebecca Ferguson, by Ewan McGregor. I think there was potential there to create a better universe, and I would have liked to see more, but I don't think we're going to see that anymore. So I'm going to 7 out of 10. And if you look at just the first two acts, it'd be a lot higher. But that third act ruined to me a really good movie.
All
You know,
right.
considering you talked about how much you like this movie, you still gave it not that much better than I did. You're still pretty close.
Yeah, I still liked it, but it's still an 8. It's not a 9 because I said the third act was weaker.
At least I sold you on the first act a little bit more,
Yeah,
knocked you on the third act a little bit
you thought
more.
you were gonna. You didn't change me on the third act.
I still very much influenced you.
You influenced me on the first act though, so
You said the
you
third act
wronged.
wasn't as good now that we talked about it.
No, I said I never thought the third act was good. I
Oh,
agreed with you. Remember?
okay. All
Go
right,
to the tape.
move on to Midway.
Yeah.
All right, what are your
Right.
opening thoughts on Midway?
Um, this movie was way too long. It was the most like I'm gonna compare this. So I finished watching Fury and I finished watching Saving Private Ryan, and I compared Midway to that, and to that it was just not even close. It was just a lot of the guy that they chose to be the main guy was just so hard to watch. A lot of the scenes didn't seem useless. The scene that I felt most interested in, the scenes that I felt most interested in were the intelligence scenes, and there wasn't enough of that. It was more how a soldier's life is and everything like that. And I feel like after seeing Saving Private Ryan and Fury, those really did a good job highlighting how soldiers live and everything like that. This kind of did a bad job and fell flat on the nose for that. So it was a okay movie. Very boring. Couldn't wait for it to end. All right, there you go.
Wow. Well, I want to start talking a little bit about Remembrance and Veterans Day for a second. And I truly don't think we respect our veterans enough. All people, like, it's crazy. Uh, had you ever heard of the Battle of Midway before this? Honestly,
No,
okay.
I didn't.
I can't tell you how many people have not heard about that battle of our generation, of the younger generation. To me, it's mind-boggling. We see this in the movie, and the line I really liked in this movie were "Men like best are why we're gonna win this war." I think it's a very telling line, and what I find amazing is that we are now almost 80 years after this battle, and how many Americans do you think know who Richard Best are? What percent do you think know that?
Probably like one,
Maybe two.
maybe less
It'd
than
be it'd
one,
be lower.
zero point five
But
percent.
and it's not just an American thing. Who's the number one air race of Canadian soldiers in World War One?
I don't know.
There's an airport named after him in Toronto.
Pearson?
Lester Pearson, our prime minister.
Yeah.
No, Billy Bishop, Toronto Islands Airport.
Oh, I
You
didn't know
can't
there was
even-
a second
This
airport.
is why I don't think people care. You have these veterans, these soldiers that have risked everything for us, and this is their story. You talk about Fury. I don't know if Fury is based on a true story or not, but you have this Midway story is based on a true story about a soldier, Richard Best, who who destroyed not one but two aircraft carriers on the same day.
Yeah, and it fell flat. Like I don't know how you ruin a story like that. That's
Well,
the problem.
Thought it fell flat. I thought this movie was great. Movies like this are needed, and it delivered to me on all fronts. I was actually worried. I thought they tried to do a lot with this movie. They introduced a bunch of historical figures like Leighton, who was the military intelligence, Yamamoto, Best, Doolittle. They had a little scenes about Pearl Harbor, the Doolittle raid, and Midway itself. And I was really concerned when you're trying to take on that much scope that you could lose things. But I don't think it failed at all. I thought Emmerich, who the director, he did a great job balancing everything together. And I was engaged the entire movie. There was not a moment I wasn't engaged in this film. I liked the characters. I liked the pacing. I liked the action sequences, the information that we were given. What I didn't like, the opposite of Xavier, I thought it was too short. I wanted a longer movie. I saw The Irishman yesterday, 3.5 hours. I don't know. This movie could have been 3.5 hours. There was more story to tell. You know, you talk about maybe the cheesy dialogue you get in this movie, but you know what?
You're a sucker for cheesy
No,
dialogue.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. There's no denying that. But Xavier, at the end of the day, like it's the tone of the movie. You're not trying to tell a dark story. It's a heroic story. Your language, your tone has to be cheesy. You can't have the dark tone. This isn't Saving Private Ryan. This isn't Fury, where it's a negative outcome. This is a positive movie where the main characters that we follow almost all survive, and therefore the tone needs to be more cheesy, more light. Whereas in Fury, where everyone but one person die, and Saving Private Ryan, where everyone but one person die, they can't have that same light to it.
Yeah, but that's the problem I find with the movie, right? I like to see the realities. Like you have to see the realities. That's what makes people more grateful for what the sacrifice everyone has made,
You,
because how terrible and horrific the events of World War One, to like any war is,
yeah,
right?
I understand that, but
When
it's
it's
the
all when you make all these cheesy lines, you kind of I feel like it's poking fun at it, and I think sometimes it could be considered disrespectful.
you understand that most people are cheesy, right? Like that's how people
Yeah.
talk. You don't think people talk cheesy? You in your group of friends, we don't your cheesy liners that you talk. I'm
Mm,
just saying. I feel
like
that
yeah, everyone's gonna consider something cheesy, yeah, but like this is a movie about war. Like war is it's not a game, right? It's not that's why I find people are like we have games like Call of Duty and everything like that. We have set up already even here, right? And it makes you kind of disconnect and not really realize how important these sacrifices were and everything like that. That's the why I didn't really like
you
the
think
movie.
cheesiness takes away from sacrifice.
Sometimes I do. Yeah.
Hmm. I don't think it. I think that Saving Private Ryan, and we'll talk about this with our next movie. It was a game changing movie. But movies before Saving Private Ryan were all very cheesy in how they handled war.
Yeah, and
Look at
that's why the Saving Private Ryan is such a game changer. It's considered one of the best war movies because it actually veterans like
you're
that's
right.
how it was, right?
You're right. But
They make it
that's
look
how.
like it's all happy, like
But
oh yeah, we're shooting these
but hold
Nazis,
on,
it's all
hold on,
good.
hold on though, hold on. I agree with what you're saying. What you're saying in terms of the premise of it, but the lineage, like in this movie Midway, there's no doubt that the action was brutal. There, people, especially in mostly what we saw, the Americans they took a hit. We saw the Arizona blow up. We saw people die. Like it's not like people survived this film. We see this movie did show us what war was really like. This wasn't like a Sergeant York where everyone survives.
It
This is
showed it showed it did show people getting injured, but like
not
that's
injured,
I'm not injured to
die.
like get killed and everything like that, but it's just I think we're going too much and it's probably to start the thing, but it just wasn't I don't know, I just didn't feel compelling to me and I didn't feel engaged with it and I just felt disconnected for it just didn't feel like connected to like how it happened. Like yeah, there's death, but Avengers movies have death and that's a happy like cheesy thing too, right? Like
Really, you're comparing it to the Avengers.
I'm not comparing it to the Avengers. I'm just saying there's cheesy cheesy movies can have death, but like it doesn't the way I was engaged with it is like when I watch it in Avengers, I know there's not going to be any, and I know they win at the end, right? It's more, I don't know. It's just I find it. I just let's just get into the podcast.
I don't know if I don't know if I can agree with that because I do think that adding cheesy lines to a movie adds to the movie, doesn't take away from the movie. I just
Some movies it does. War movies where you're trying to drive a point and show the struggle of the American people and everything like that. I feel like it takes away from the movie.
what cheesy lines upset you in this movie?
I
Like,
can't.
give me an example of something that really upset you because
I'm not. I wasn't upset with it. Not upset. I
well,
just
you
felt
say
like
it
I
makes
disengaged.
what
And
cheesy lines disengage you from this film.
I can't. I can't think of an example now. I wasn't really tuned in. And I didn't want to.
Well, you weren't
I
even
can't
tuned
even.
in.
I
You didn't
can't
give the
even
movie a shot.
remember. I can't even remember like almost any of the lines in the entire movie because it wasn't the greatest. And I watched it, but it wasn't. If I didn't really like the movie, I'm not gonna remember the things that they say.
Okay. Well, let's deep dive into this. So the movie opens in 1937 in Japan. The British and the Americans have sent attachés to Japan. And these are three countries that were all allied together at the time, technically. And they go to see Admiral Yamamoto, and they're at his house. And Yamamoto, he's one of the moderates, right? Japan at this time is starting to spread their army. They've invaded China, which is also an ally of the States. And the Americans do not like this, and they're trying to get them to stop. And Yamamoto understands that going to war with the United States is not beneficial in the long term. In fact, Yamamoto doesn't think they can win a long-term war, and he says that in this movie. He also realizes that a war could begin if the Americans cut off the oil supply to the Japanese, because 80% of
Their
the
oil
Japanese, they're an island, right?
Yeah.
An island nation. Whatever you can't produce on the island, you need
You
to
got to
import.
trade for. Yeah,
And
and
Japan
import.
doesn't have oil natural to it, so they need to import it. And it's hard to fight a war with your airplanes and your tanks
If you don't have oil.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard thing. So that Yamamoto kind of warns our American attaché there, Leighton, that don't do that. And this is a movie on the Battle of the Midway. Why do you think we start here? And did you like it?
So I'm not gonna lie, I actually like this part. It's a good background to, well, not a good background. Yeah, I guess I would. So you can say it's a good background for like kind of the reasoning and the tensions, to drop the tension between America and Japan at the time, which will flash forward to when Pearl Harbor happens. But why did the Japanese attack America, Mike?
Well, oil. So the Americans spent a lot of the 30s embargoing the Japanese with different things, and in early 1941, the last straw was they cut oil off, and the Japanese really had two choices: either stop in China, actually technically three choices, invade the Soviet Union, or attack the States, and it was kind of agreed upon that the best option. They wanted to continue their empire building, which, all power to you, right? Like that's what other countries did. The Americans were doing it out west.
Yeah.
You know, the British obviously conquered most of the world.
Yeah.
Why can't the Japanese, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just happens that the Americans were allied with China and they didn't like it. So they decided that the best option was to invade Japan. And I don't know how much you know about Pearl Harbor, but Pearl Harbor was impenetrable. You laugh and say, haha, it got invaded. But like, that's the whole thing. It's a shallow harbor, and there's only one way in. So there's a reason why, if you've seen like Pearl Harbor or Tora or any movies that deal with the Pearl Harbor attack, is that all the battleships were like right beside each other, and they were because there was only one way in. So it's not like we're okay. Like, what's going to happen? And they couldn't have submarines to destroy the ship, and like fighter planes, they can't do damage to big battleships, right?
Yeah.
The problem was Yamamoto was very smart in how he planned it. So he added, like he put torpedoes on the dive bombers instead of their normal bombs, and he put like a wooden kind of I don't even know how to explain it, but like a wooden thing at the end of the propeller to keep it from sinking. Because if you drop a torpedo this way, it would go in the water this way. But if you put this wooden panel, it kind of keeps it on level. So what happened was they practiced dropping the dive bombers practiced dropping their load on the water level, and it was able to destroy a couple ships. It was very, very well planned, and Yamamoto was brilliant. He was a brilliant tactician. In fact, the problem was they didn't listen to him enough.
Yeah, as you can see in the movie.
Absolutely. But that takes us to December 7th in this film, where we meet Richard Best. He's in the Enterprise. And so there's a misconception. Pearl Harbor, devastating the Americans, no doubt. United the Americans, no doubt. Was not as bad as people think. And the reason,
Is that just the Hollywood in this?
not the Hollywood, it's not the Hollywood, because you have to understand this is an American thing, right? America,
Yeah.
date will live in infamy, right? Its biggest thing was it united the states. The Americans aren't like a lot. They're like a lot of countries. Everyone hated everyone. The North hated the South. The East hated the West. Everyone.
Yeah.
Blacks hated the whites. Everyone hated everyone in the states. But
Correct.
there's one thing Americans can all agree upon. It's like a family, right? You can make fun of your own family. You can hate your
When
own
you attack
family.
our own.
But you don't hurt anyone in the family.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened at Pearl Harbor. It united everyone against the common enemy. And you hear Yamamoto say that himself
We may
after
have
the attack.
woken the sleep. I guess I did remember the line. We woken the sleeping giant.
Yeah, which something he said, and he says like you've given them purpose, right? You've given them something to rally around, and but the reason why it wasn't as successful. So, what is the most important naval ship?
Carrier.
It's the aircraft carrier by far. Now, before World War II, it was the battleship. So everyone wanted to build all these battleships, but they were outdated. They were whatever. The aircraft carriers are the gold standard for the Navy in 1941. And you see this, right? That's what the whole Battle of Midway is. It's about getting the aircraft carrier. Forget the battleships. Forget the destroyers. Get those aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
So the 3 American aircraft carriers were not in Pearl Harbor on the day of the attack. They were doing these kind of practice runs.
Scouting runs and everything.
So
like
that's
that.
why it wasn't as bad. And in fact, the Americans were able to, the Americans only lost 3 ships that day. On the attack of Pearl Harbor, only 3 ships never sailed again. The Arizona, the Oklahoma, and the Utah. That's it. So devastating, yes, but they were able to rebuild. Their American economy is ridiculous. They were able to rebuild that fleet in 6 months. And it's mainly because they didn't lose the aircraft carriers or the oil tankers.
Okay.
Which were the big things the Japanese failed to attack.
Yeah, and we see that he's upset that they didn't sink
So the movie does not begin with Pearl Harbor. It begins on December 7th with these aircraft carriers doing these missions. And we meet Richard Best, who is flying this airplane, and he has to land it on the aircraft carrier, but he wants to test out how to land it with no engine and no flaps to properly do it. And he's able to do it. This is like right out of Pearl Harbor, the movie Pearl Harbor by Michael Bay, where you see like Danny and Rafe, they're doing that ridiculous like airplane thing where they go left and right at the last minute. It shows off how good of a pilot he is. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah. No, that was the thing. I just did not like the actor that played him at all. Like
you didn't like Ed Sheeran or Sheeran?
Ed Sheeran? Yeah, no. He there's certain points where he was like, I'll say later in the film, he's supposed to be depressed, but I did not get the sense that he was depressed or anything like that.
I don't think he was supposed to be depressed at all in this movie.
He says in the line, or I guess not. I don't know what it was, but there's a line. I guess I remembered another line. It's like, I liked you better. I liked you better when you
were cocky.
When you were cocky, right? And I'm like, I thought he was still cocky. I'm like, he's not cocky anymore.
I don't think he was cocky at all. He had a lot of guilt, a lot of that guilt in him at that point in the movie. But anyways, I think this is a very important scene. Because how else do you show how good of a pilot this guy is if you don't have him do something crazy?
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's like the whole scene. It's like the scene in Top Gun at the beginning of the movie when he does that stupid like dive, and they have like that. Like it just shows how good of a pilot is. It's the only reason you have it there. It doesn't do anything for the plot, but how else do you show how good of a pilot is without doing something?
Yeah, no. And just like I forget what he said while he was flying. He's like, "Yeah, we gotta train for this, boys." You know, blah blah blah.
You never know what could happen, and it has, and that's a real thing. Like,
and plus, when I saw the scene, I'm like, "This is gonna be shown at the end of the movie."
Of course, it is. It's just like in Pearl Harbor. It's very reminiscent of Pearl Harbor. So then we get into the Pearl Harbor sequence. We get a montage of the attack. The Arizona blows up. The kamikazes. Layton, who predicted the attack, rushes into the office as bombs are dropping. And the commander's like, I should have listened to you.
I'm probably gonna get disbarred.
Do we need a Pearl scene in this movie?
Yeah, just to kind of see I get actually we've seen the Pearl Harbor enough times. Probably could have done without the scene now that I think about it.
It's not long.
It was fast, but it's not. It wasn't super needed. Like
it. I see, and that's where I disagree. It's so needed because it adds context to the characters, right? Like think about it. From this, you see the fallout. You see the general or the admiral get kicked out, and now Nimitz comes in, new commander. The Oklahoma, when those aircraft carriers come in, and they see them, like trying to get the soldiers that are in the ship that's now capsized, like that's a visual these soldiers are seeing for the first time after the attack. You have the like the toast scene to the friends, right? The like these every one of those aircraft carriers or people that survived had friends that died that day. And you see the funeral. Like those are to me very important sequences that don't come if you don't show a Pearl Harbor attack you can't have.
yeah, but everyone knows what happened in Pearl Harbor, right?
You're
You want
right.
to know about Midway.
But I
Like, I think
understand, but
that's
you have to develop the character. You have to see the hatred that these characters have. There has to be a reason. You have to develop characters. How else do you develop characters? Like you talk a lot about
well, this didn't. Even though they showed the scene, I don't think it did a good job developing characters, anyways. So,
why not?
because like I said, I didn't see the guilt that Richard Best was supposed to have.
He doesn't have guilt at this.
Not this like going on in the
We're
going on
talking
in the
about Pearl
film. Later
Harbor
on in
though.
the
What
film.
the development of seeing that your friends died, like the looks on people's faces, like I thought they were very impressive.
I guess. I guess we're not going to agree on this as well. I I didn't think it was the greatest thing to to kind of like for me. I didn't. We've seen it so many times. Plus, I get the picture. War is gonna make people hate people, right? We all know that. Seeing your friends die, like you probably could have thrown in like Pearl Harbor got attacked, maybe Star.
But it also
Yeah,
shows the fear of these soldiers, right? Like they're like I mean we talk about like in hindsight the Americans are like they were fine, but like could you imagine like the Japanese can come back at any time? Like you think
yeah.
of even some of the little skirmishes that happen after, like in the Marshall Islands, where they're like there's a hatred of the intel, right? Do we trust the intel? Like how can we trust the intel when they couldn't figure out what was going on in Pearl Harbor? Like all of these things, these lines, everything in the war in the Pacific for the year after Pearl Harbor always related back to Pearl Harbor. So if you don't show Pearl Harbor, how can you do justice to Midway?
Fair enough.
That's the only thing I would say. So then my biggest surprise in this movie came with them showing the Doolittle raid. They do the Doolittle raid in the movie Pearl Harbor, but I was surprised to see it here. So the Doolittle raid, for those of you who do not know, was America's first attack on the Japanese, and they decided that they were going to launch bombers off their aircraft carriers and fly those bombers to hit Tokyo. And then those bombers, after hitting Tokyo, would land in free China. The problem was that's never been done before. Bombers need a long runway that an aircraft carrier can't actually provide. Moreover than that, they're very heavy because they carry huge, large bombs on
Huge
them.
payload.
Huge payloads, and they don't have enough gasoline, or they require a lot of gasoline to get to
There
places.
and back, right?
So what they did was for this Doolittle raid was take away half of the gas, take all of the guns off, and put like fake guns on it because they didn't have enough weight to keep the guns on. And they completed this mission, and I actually ended up liking them using this because like I said, it's a true story. But it showed the raid in action. It showed the bombing of Japan. It showed the Japanese leaders like Yamamoto responding to it and how we failed. And it also showed the Chinese reacting to Doolittle, how they helped him, and then the response the Chinese would get from it. And so I think I know your answer, but do you think this scene was needed?
Um, I guess they put in the scene for people that were interested to like look up the Doolittle raid. Um, but not really. I didn't think it was super needed.
See, I'm going to agree with you on this. I don't know if it was absolutely necessary. I liked it. I would have, again, this is why too short of a movie. Give me another 20 minutes. develop these characters a little bit more. Show me how the process, how it went, what went into it, develop it, do things like that. But it also, one thing I like about it, it follows the aircraft carrier's journey, right? If you look at who the main character in this movie are, they're the aircraft carriers, right? It's kind of through their eyes that we tell the
Their
story,
perspective,
their
yeah.
perspective, and that's a big part of the war in the Pacific, right? The Doolittle raid is the first attack on the Japanese. It is important, but again, I get it. It wastes time. It doesn't move any of the plot forward, so it is unnecessary. So the question is, why put it in?
Like I said before, maybe look at a, maybe have us look it up or anything, or
I have an idea.
why?
Well, when the movie started, I was a little shocked. Do you know what one of the producing companies on this movie were?
Who?
The Shanghai Rui Entertainment.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So I'm
There you
just
go.
saying why I was just wondering why a Chinese company. I'm assuming the Shanghai Rui company is Chinese.
Well,
'Cause
they had Chinese lettering
They
in
do,
it.
but again, I don't. I'm just assuming. I can make an ass of myself.
That explains the ending crawl as well.
But that's the thing, right? So why would they invest money in a movie about Midway? Well, there you go, right? That's why we will allow it. You have to put the Doolittle raid in there to show China's contribution to the war in Japan.
Interesting. That makes perfect sense. I like that you picked that up. That was a good pickup. Nice
Hey,
read.
I know I could be it could be full I could be full of crap, but
Yeah, you could, but that's a
that's my
that's a probably 80% bet I'd take.
I like it. I thought it was because I kept thinking why is a Chinese company like the Battle of
Because it
Midway-
also showed like how the Chinese were helping them as well, and
Yes.
things like that, right? So I'm like, okay,
absolutely.
so that makes a lot more
And
sense.
we know like the Japanese and Chinese are still not friends, right? Like this
Yeah.
is not like I mean the Americans and the Chinese are not friends, but like at this time they were, right? So it's like just to show that
Yeah.
screw you Japan. Like I feel like that's like what this company's doing.
Yeah, no, that's what I think so too. So I'll tell you more off air on that. It's a funny story off air. I'll tell you.
All
later.
right. So then we get the prep into this Midway attack. So military intelligence. The Japanese are planning some kind of attack. So the Washington thinks it's going to be in the Marshall or Solomon Islands. The intelligence in Hawaii think it's going to be at Midway. So they finally agree that it's going to be Midway. And they have like there's this fight. Did you find any of these sequences unnecessary? I think you like these sequences, the military.
Those are my favorite scene. Those are my favorite scene. That's when I was super engaged. I wanted to know, because I guess it's because every war movie we always see the battles and everything like that. And honestly, Midway's the battle sequences were good, and it was thrilling. Can't complain there. But I really wanted to know the behind the intelligence sequencing, right? Because intelligence wins the war. And the soldiers obviously like that. But also intelligence. You need good soldiers like Richard Best, but you also need the intelligence. So I wanted to know more. I wanted more of that. That's what I wanted more from the movie. And I guess that's why I wasn't that engaged, right? All the scenes with Patrick Wilson engaging with was that Woody Harrelson?
Yes.
So
I
Woody
loved
Harrelson, that was
I'm with
those
you.
are great. Those are my favorite scenes of the movie. All the intelligence scenes, I'll never quote. We needed more
I
of
agree
that.
with you. But I agree. My argument is too short, not too long. I think I would have loved more of it. Absolutely. So then we get into the Midway sequence. We see a lot of different things. We saw the submarine in action. We saw the dive
submarine
bomber.
miss.
We see initially 3 of the 4 carriers get destroyed, and then later, pretty much the next day, they go back out and they destroy the last one.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think we need to talk about each aspect. So what stood out at you? What did you like?
The only thing that I kind of got annoyed is like it showed the same scene. Like in the one action scene, they kind of recycled the same scene 3 times, where he's just diving and it's like we're at.
That's how they.
Yeah, no, I know that's how
them.
it's done. That's how they destroyed them. But I'm just saying. I'm like, okay, do you really need to see the same scene 3 times? Like we saw it in the when they were raiding the one island. Like, oh, you're at 23,000 feet, 20,000 feet, 5,000 feet, whatever. I'm saying I'm going up and down, but and then have him bomb and then pull up at the last second. They did the same thing twice, and to me that's kind of it's a little bit cheap. And I know you kind of seen it, but what else are you can
Yeah,
really
exactly.
add,
How
right?
else do you do it?
Right? I don't know, maybe different angle and everything like that, or
Maybe.
everything like. But
But
like we
how do you
just
do
saw the
like?
same thing, just him going down, and I'm like,
But
oh, I wonder what's gonna happen here. He's gonna narrowly miss and bomb the ship. Wow. So.
I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I mean, like a lot of they did show a lot of the bombers that did get destroyed, right?
Yeah, they
Even
showed, and the
even
whole submarine scene that was totally unnecessary.
oh, I
That
love that scene. See, I'll just say what stood out to me a lot, and you might find this as a criticism, but I actually think it's actually really good. There was a lot of misses. They
yeah,
put a lot of missing, like the submarines, torpedo misses. They showed a lot of dive bombers misses, including like Luke Evans' character Wade McCluskey, who missed.
yeah.
I like that element. War's hard.
No, no, I like them,
Like
but
that
they showed
summer,
way too many misses. I'm like, okay, I get
but
it.
that's
Like it was hard to
but I think
hit them.
that's more important. Anything that didn't stick out, like anything that you didn't like about it. You said you kind of said
I kind of said everything that I really need at the
I would have
beginning.
liked
I
I
kind of
want
said
what I would have liked to see, and this kind of maybe adds on to what you were saying about like the same scene three times. But again, it needs to be longer to do this. I would have liked to see some fighter pilots action
yeah.
during
There
Midway.
was no there was no fighter pilots. Just which I
But they
would have
probably cut
liked
that
to.
out for time.
Yeah, yeah. They kept the submarine that missed.
I like the
Amazing.
submarine though.
That
Like
scene.
submarine were a big part of that battle, but we
Yeah,
don't.
no, they're a big part. We don't. But did we really? We get there was a big part of the battle, but was that totally necessary for the plot?
I guess
Not really.
maybe. Yeah. So the ending, we get a post credit. They win the battle. Post credit scroll. I mean, the one thing that maybe you found cheesy, but you the oxygen.
Yeah.
Did you like that sequence?
Well, where he had the blood.
He had the fake. He had the fake. He had the oxygen that in his that was going into his mouth wasn't very good,
Yeah.
but he kept fighting through it. You think that was cheesy?
I didn't know that wasn't cheesy. That's war. It's tough. We
Okay,
had
I was
Canadians
I was,
piss on their
I was
handkerchief
well,
and then
I
smell it to not get
I was
poisoned.
gonna say that actually happened, and it started like tuberculosis in his lungs, so he was never able to fly
I
again
knew
because of it.
100% that was tuberculosis when he got. I'm like, this is definitely.
He lived to like 80 years old. So
Well, yeah, because they found a way to solve it around that time, right?
Mhm.
It's not the 1800s.
Yeah.
The one thing I hated about the ending crawl was like, the one crawl is like, the Japanese killed 250,000 Chinese people because they helped the thing.
Yeah.
And then right after, they're like, this film is to honor the Americans and Japanese that fought in Midway. I'm like, wait, I thought you're trying to paint the Japanese as bad, and then in the next crawl you say
It's
that
funny that
this is to honor them.
It's funny that you said that. One of the questions I have is, do you think this movie was fair to both sides?
I thought it was fair until that point.
But that's you can't argue that, right? Like they did, man. The Japanese were brutal to the Chinese.
Yeah, no,
right?
no,
Like,
that's
they
100%
were.
true. They were, right?
And
But
I mean,
then
you gotta
you
tell
can't.
them what it is.
Then I'm like, why try to honor them? That's the thing, right?
But
That's the
the soldiers that fought at Midway were not the soldiers that would have killed
that
those.
killed. Yeah, that's true.
You got to remember that as well. And
Hmm.
even still, like at the end of the day, like soldiers follow orders, and you can't like the orders that the government passes. Like
Yeah,
you got to follow orders. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
Maybe
sad.
that's a little hot take, but.
yeah,
I did one of the things I didn't like about the crawls. It didn't give us enough about what happened to Best. All it says is he won a
He never
naval
flew
cross.
again,
He
yeah.
never flew again. But what like
the main
what
character
do?
they didn't show.
Yeah, I would have liked a
But
little bit more on him.
But yeah,
What were your thoughts of including John Ford into the movie?
who's John Ford?
The director.
No, I didn't even notice that.
Well, when they were at Midway, we see this guy filming, and they're
Oh,
trying to get him.
that guy.
That's an actual Hollywood director who
Yeah, that.
filmed sequences from it. He made a documentary on Midway and won an Oscar for it.
Yeah, we didn't need that scene. Sorry.
Oh, I thought that was a great
That was like
touch. I thought it was a
totally
great
nothing
touch.
for the plot at all.
All right, anything else you want to say about this movie?
Oh, nothing really. You know, I'm gonna give this probably a 6 out of 10. Um, Only for the intelligence part. That was the great part. I didn't really see the character development. Wasn't as engaging or anything like that for me. I'm just gonna stick with it like that, I'd go into long. But my producers is screaming at me to wrap it up.
I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I really like this movie. I think it'll if we did a top 10 war movie list, it'd be really high on that list.
Oh Lord.
I absolutely again, I can only stress this enough. It really did a great job showing a story. It did what it was supposed to do. It honored sailors. It honored um, pilots that most people didn't know, and it brought a story to them. And I thought it was very well done, and it was fair to both sides. I there's very little I didn't like. Again, it could have been longer. Give me a longer movie.
Do not give us a longer movie. Make it shorter, please.
You know, Doctor Sleep was longer, right?
Yeah, and I enjoyed Doctor Sleep.
Just saying.
If you enjoy it, it's good. If you don't,
All right.
don't do it.
All right.
Endgame is longer too.
I love that movie too. Anyways, so last movie we're going to the vault to talk about Saving Private Ryan. Xavier, opening thoughts.
Every time I watch this movie, I get reminded what an amazing movie this is. You feel every bit. This is one of those movies like where I just feel every bit of emotion watching this, and not a lot of movies can do that for me. This one I feel sadness, anger, sorrow, happiness, and just gratefulness and everything like that. It's just really what a great film. That's all I'm just gonna say. Great performances all around, all-star cast, and even the young Vin Diesel, right when he first started.
I love this movie. This movie, we can talk about revolutionary movies all we want, but this movie is a revolutionary movie. Let's talk about the purpose. So the Spielberg movie, I think I talked a little bit about this when we did our top 10 directors. Watch that podcast if you're interested. He wanted to make a war movie that was believable. And when he finished filming this movie, he showed it to veterans of D-Day first. Like he opened it up, brought them all in, free showing. And when they came out, interviewers asked them what they thought of the movie, and they said, this is like what it was like. This is it. Right? The realness of what Spielberg did in this movie forever changed the way war movies are gonna be shot from now on. Now, other directors have followed this model. War is violent, war is brutal, war is about death. And the tone has changed a lot. And pre Saving Private Ryan, you could have one guy run through the trenches and not get shot by the machine gun that shoots 100 bullets a minute. A second.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So, moreover than the realism to it, the revolutionariness to it, it's a great story. Tom Hanks' character is just a man who wants to get home to his family.
Yeah.
But he realizes that with every person he kills, every day he's out there, the farther away he is from home.
And reality.
And reality, yeah. I love the twist. The first time I watched this movie, I thought for sure that old man at the beginning was Tom Hanks.
Oh, really?
100%.
Oh, I didn't think so.
Oh, I thought it for a second. The cast is great. Xavier talked about Vin Diesel, but Bryan Cranston's in this movie.
Bryan Cranston's in this?
He's the one-armed captain.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, there are so many actors that became huge in that movie.
Yeah.
But it's like Midway in a lot of ways, right? Like there's a lot of actors that you would know in that movie that want to be in it, and this is the same with Saving Private Ryan. And of course,
except I actually had good actors.
You can't talk about Saving Private Ryan without talking about the first 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's the most iconic thing of probably one of the most iconic scenes in all the movies.
I think it's up there. If you ever did
probably top 5.
I think so.
Yeah, I think
this
so
is the
too.
first 35 minutes.
That is crazy.
Every
time I watch that, I'm like, yeah.
I try to think of a better.
I definitely would have died.
I try to think of a better sequence in a movie, and I mean, this is gonna sound corny, but I don't think it's better. But I think of Endgame, like that last action sequence in Endgame, when the portal sequence and the fight sequence. But I don't even. That's the.
Wow, you're gonna compare
No,
Avengers to a war film? No, I'm just
I'm not saying
joking.
the words. I'm trying to think of scenes that would be that have that kind of value, sequence that have that kind of value. I don't. It, maybe arguably it's number one.
Oh, there's a couple.
What do you got? What are you thinking?
Uh, for me, maybe I want to say maybe the Scarface scene where to say hello to my little friend. That's one's pretty iconic.
I mean, we're talking about 35 minutes. We're talking like
35. Oh,
we're
35
talking about
minutes.
a big sequence. Like
Oh,
a
the first
sequence.
5 minutes of Bumblebee then. 15 minutes of Bumblebee. No, I'm just joking.
All right. let's deep dive into this. So, an elderly veteran, he visits Normandy, the American cemetery there, and so you thought it was Matt Damon from the beginning?
Yeah,
I didn't.
that's why he's crying.
And he's
'Cause
going
they
to
saved
visit the
his life.
graves, presumably for the first time since the war ended. And then we get into the D-Day scene, the epic, edge of your seat, realism that comes with the D-Day. What are your thoughts on this scene?
We just went for 5 minutes talking about this
I
scene.
guess that's true. You know what stood out for me the most in this scene though?
What?
When Hanks finally gets onto the beach, like after the shoot, after he comes out of the water,
Yeah.
the moment of shell shock, that moment where everything goes silent and he just looks around everywhere.
Yeah, everybody's getting mowed down. Like, that is brutal. To be like the first, ship on there, like for D-Day, like you guys are just pretty much cannon fodder. You're going, most of you not gonna make it out alive. Like, that's just, imagine just going there. Like, wow, like that's just insane to me.
What stood out for you the most in that sequence?
What stood out to me, just like the whole, like I said, the whole. Honestly, the first beginning, like when you first come in, and just the pure brutality of
The door opening,
deaths.
then the
Everyone's just
gunfire,
brutally getting mowed
or even
down,
like
right?
like even before they get out there, people like vomiting
Yeah.
and praying and doing all their things.
Yeah, like that's just brutal.
Like, or even like the medic as he's going through, and then as he's like saving someone,
The guy that
gets
picks
shot
up
in the
his
head.
hand. Yeah, that guy that gets shots in the head. The guy that picks up his hand, he's just. I'm not gonna lie, when seeing Sausage Party, it kind of. The first time I seen that scene, though, was kind of ruined for me because I saw so much parody versions of that too. But then you watch it, it's like, it still has its has its merits.
But, oh yeah, just the chaos of that day. Anyways, so after that, there's a new mission. So on 3 of the 4 sons of the Ryan family were killed either on that day or around that day. And the 4th is now behind enemy lines because he was a paratrooper that was dropped on D-Day.
Yeah.
And Hanks' order to bring a couple troops and go bring
Bring
them
him
home.
home.
Is it fair for the troops that have to go that one guy gets a free ticket home because he's the last one?
It's not fair, but I think they're thinking more of the mother, right? She sent how many? Said 5 brothers, right, or 4?
There's
4.
four.
So he's met 5 men. She sent 5 brothers out to war. At least they'll have one mother's son left, right? Like, you think, based on the odds, that's like pretty crappy odds that 4 of them died, right? Like, so do I agree with it? No, but I can see the reasoning behind it.
Well, it's also let your family grow, right? Like by
Yeah.
law, like conscription you cannot conscript the oldest son.
Oh, okay.
And if you're the only son, you can't be conscripted to war. You have to be able to keep your family, your name alive. That's part of the rules of war. So I mean, is it fair? Probably not. But I mean, you're a soldier. Most of the stuff you're gonna do is not fair.
Yeah, right.
Is it
like
fair
it
that
was
you're
fair to be the first to go
That's what I
storm
was
the
just
beach?
gonna. I was just gonna say that.
Right, like it's not fair, but you got to do it.
Someone has to.
And life's not fair, so get used to that, kids.
So when in this looking for Ryan, there's a skirmish with a sniper where Vin Diesel gets killed.
Amazing.
I
scene.
can go over all 5, and then you can tell me what you like about which one you like the most, and kind of.
Yeah.
So then they have to neutralize a machine gun position. They locate another James F. Ryan, but not Francis Ryan, who's played by Nathan Fillion. You know that?
No, I didn't.
Another major actor in this.
Yeah.
They have a desertion issue that Ruben wants to leave,
Hmm.
and
New Brooklyn.
Hanks has to tell him that he's an English teacher.
Yeah, you find pretty much a backstory of Tom Hanks'
And
character.
then we have Miller, or Tom Hanks' character, who frees a German prisoner. Which of these was the most interesting to you?
Can I just say all of it? Like
What
I'm
did
just
you?
fully engaged. I was fully engaged. I was just
Okay, what did you like about each one then?
so for the sniper one, I just like the fact that you know it shows that they're still human at heart and they still want to help. The family wants to save their daughter and their kids, and then the sniper's just hiding. And then just the tense little sniper battle. He showed the skills of their sniper expert, right? That scene was great. Plus, you're like, oh, that's Vin Diesel's character. And then the second scene where they storm the machine gun, just showing the tactics of everyone and everything like that, how smart Tom Hanks and capable he is, and why he is the position he is in, right?
That's the one I like the most.
Yeah, that one was a great one too.
Because the tactics that go with it,
Yeah.
right? Like the other ones, they're great for character development, but they're not like the first two are more tactical
Yeah,
and how you approach war. Whereas like, oh, they saw another for J.F. Ryan or James F. Ryan.
yeah, that one's just more for frustration and like they're finding a needle in a stack of needles, right?
Yeah.
Like they said, I got the line right.
And I mean, the desertion issue I didn't really like at all because like it's that's only there so we can get to know Miller's backstory. Like the only
Yeah,
reason is
but it's not unrealistic to say that someone's getting upset. Like those guys all served time together. And they just lost. He lost two of his. Because when you go to war, those are your brothers.
Yeah.
Now, right. He lost two of his brothers for a guy that gets to get sent home.
you're fair
right?
enough, but you're gonna so your answer is to desert all your other brothers.
Sometimes he wants to go fight the war, right? He's like, I don't want to. I don't want to risk my life for this guy when we can go actually do so. He feels like it's not they're wasting their lives. That's why I was okay with it. Plus, it shows a little bit of character development and everything like that, right? You really get to see this guy's a good job of showing the soldiers' mindsets and everything like that.
It's brilliant. I think there's unquestionably the best war movie ever made
Yeah,
to this day.
maybe that's why that was my problem. I shouldn't have compared Midway to.
You can't compare other movies to this. This movie again. It's a revolutionary movie. I think the best war movie ever. So eventually we do finally meet James Francis Ryan, played by a young Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. He's very sad about his brother's death, but he refuses to leave.
Mhm.
Is that brave, honorable, or just stupid?
It's honorable. He, like I said, he filled a bond with them. He doesn't want to abandon those because the situation. A little bit beforehand, their
Yep.
situation is pretty dire. So they're
What is their mission exactly?
to hold the line,
What line?
hold the bridge.
There you go.
to hold the bridge because it's the only bridge that can connect the two areas, and they can't let the Nazis cross it, right? So
or blow it up.
blow it up, right? And if they cross, they blow it up. So I understand where Ryan's coming from, and plus he feels like he lost everything anyways, right? He's like, I don't really have anything to come back to. My brothers are gone.
Well, his mother's still alive.
His mother's still alive, but I guess he's more tight with his brothers than everyone else. So I understand where it comes from. Do I think it's the reason? Do I think it's a smart decision? No, but it happens.
So Miller decides, even though they're going to be outnumbered, to stay with all of his troops and protect the bridge. Same question. Brave, honorable, stupid.
They gotta win the war, right? The one line he says is, "Everything we do brings us one step closer to home, so we have to win the war," right? And who knows what's happened on the way back? You never know if they're gonna make it. They might become POWs or something like
You're
that,
right.
right? So it's better to die guns a blazing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The only question is this technically considered subordination? Is he breaking an order in order to do that?
No, Matt Damon's breaking the order.
Yeah, but Miller could just
Pull rank.
pull rank on there. He's like, no, stay beside me, but we're helping.
Yeah, I think he's breaking order, but the fact that they held the bridge, I think they'd understand. He'd probably get court-martialed anyways, but because law is law, but you get a pat under the back from the general. He's like, you know what? I understand why you did what you did,
Yeah, fair
but
enough.
you're getting court-martialed, buddy.
So we get to the final action sequence. The Germans arrive. They bring 2 tanks, and all the soldiers die except for Ryan and Reuben. Miller is the last to die, and the American reinforcements arrive just at the last minute. What are your thoughts on this scene? This is shooting the tank?
Yeah.
Xavier's shooting the tank. If
Yeah, and then the
listening.
thing, right? I did it. But yeah, amazing scene. I think I always forget, like, this end sequence is just phenomenal. It's just thrilling. It has, like, one of the only scenes in movies that actually gets me so upset. Like, I get so angry. You know what scene that is?
No.
It's the scene where the guy is, like, they're fighting each other, and the guy has the knife, and the guy hears him struggling. He doesn't run up the stairs to help. He's just sitting there like, ah! And I'm like, every time I watch it, I'm screaming like, help him, right? But that guy's more the pacifist. This is his first like experience. He's crapping bricks right now. Like, he's truly terrified. So I understand where it comes from, and I freaking hate it though. Because I'm like, save him, help him. Like, what are you doing? He gets his revenge, but it's not good enough for me. Because I'm like, you let a soldier die. And like, it's like, I'm not going to put myself in the shoes, but I guess I will. I'd hope that if I was in that, I would help that person, help them out. And at least, like, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die anyways, right? Instead of just, because what would happen, like, he's just killed the guy and he walks down the stairs. What's going to stop him from killing you? He's lucky that he didn't kill you.
I know.
Either way, you were going to die anyway, so he might as well help the guy, but he got lucky. And ended up turning against him because he kept him alive.
Yeah. What stood out to me, let's be honest, the tank.
Yeah.
Just the last minute, just he's mortally wounded, just with a pistol shooting at a tank.
Yeah.
Like, that's iconic.
Yeah, that seems
I
great.
also like one of my characters I really like, the sniper on the roof in the church.
Yeah, he goes ham. But we all know what's going to happen.
The tank took.
It just looks and boom, right?
It was really interesting to see the tank in action, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Spielberg's, this is one of, I think, his biggest strengths. And I don't know if he does it by accident or on purpose, but doesn't let the most powerful thing appear right from the beginning. He waits to the end to show us these tanks.
Yeah.
And we get to see them in action, but they're not dominating the plot.
Yeah.
Not the focal point of the movie. It's a character-driven movie, and I think we really see that in this last sequence. What soldiers really fight for. This is the big difference between Midway and Private Ryan to me, right? In Midway, we're following a success, a triumph in terms of the biggest battle, the biggest naval battle in history, where we are seeing the successes of it. Whereas this is a failure. Yeah, they complete their mission, but pretty much everyone dies.
Yeah.
So there's not a happy ending. You talk about the character that just lets his buddy die. Mm-hmm. The tone is very different, very dark, very, very serious. We don't get that in Midway. So, anyway, anything you didn't like about this sequence other than you like that?
I like the sequence. Yeah. I just didn't. It just pissed me off. You know,
is there anything
it's a good sequence.
Is there anything you didn't like in it?
No. I enjoyed all of it.
I was expecting that as the answer. So the ending, we go back to the elderly veteran, and we find out that he's been at Miller's grave. Well, that's where he's been crying and what grave he visited. And he asks his wife if he was worthy of the sacrifice. Do you like that Miller died?
Yeah, it creates more it's a deeper purpose for it, and that makes that question much more powerful, right? If Miller lives, it's like, oh, but like we followed Miller, and like this guy was the staple guy, great person, just a teacher doing his job, right? And then he just died. Like that's life, right?
I'm not gonna lie, the first time I watched, I was so upset. But I mean, like, that's the brilliance of the movie, right? I'm not upset because it doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. He needed to die. He absolutely did for the movie to be as successful as it was. Mm-hmm. However, it still upsets me every time I watch it.
Yeah, no, it's
So
like
that's
the scene
good.
I see, right? It's like the scene. It's the same thing with me, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Is this the best war movie of all time?
Um,
It's like your
I
number
haven't
3 movie
seen.
of all time.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know. I have to. For
Of
me
movies you've seen,
personally,
of the
yeah.
movies, of the war movies you've seen.
Personally, for me, yes. But I have to watch a little bit more war movies. But yeah, for me personally, I can see better. But I don't watch as much movies as you. So
I think it is. I don't think it's close. Anyone any producers back there have a better war movie that they want to throw out?
that's about.
Das Boot. It's a great movie. It's a German film.
Yep.
Um, it has to do with the U-boats, right?
Yep.
It is I've seen it. One U-boat. I've seen it a long time ago. My mom made me watch it when I was probably 18, so I don't remember it very well. Very good war movie. I'm not going to argue with that. Anyone else? No? Any other ones there, Jerry?
Star Wars.
The original Pearl Harbor movie. I've seen that one. That is a great movie. I don't know if I'd say it. I don't know if I put it better than Saving Private Ryan, but it's a very good movie.
Star Wars.
All right, Xavier. What do you? Anything else you want to talk about Private Ryan?
No, I'm good. This movie's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh my! Easily a 10 out of 10. Again, I think it's the best war movie ever made.
Underworld Blood Wars is another great war. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Here's a question for you, Xavier.
What?
Is this Spielberg's best movie?
I think for me, yes.
It's not even his best World War II movie.
What's his other World War II? Oh, The Bridge of Spies?
That's not a World War II movie. That's a Cold War movie.
Cold War. What's
Schindler's
his other?
List is his best.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Schindler's
That might be
List.
his
I
best
didn't
movie.
watch Schindler's List yet,
I mean,
though. It's on my list.
I love Saving Private Ryan, but Schindler's List is a masterpiece.
Okay. I
There's-
need to
he's
watch
got-
that movie.
he's
I
got
heard
a lot
it's
of
really good. It looks
masterpieces.
really good, though.
He's got everything he does is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't you just,
He's
Give
my
him a
favorite
big
director.
old
He
kiss.
again, spoiler alert, if you watch our top 10 directors, he's my number one.
give him a big old kiss
I love Spielberg.
and then choke his chicken?
Come on.
If you
I
know
know
what
I
that
know Dave,
means.
I know what producer Dave's favorite Spielberg movie is. Is it Raiders or Last Crusade?
Switch to the Last Crusade now.
Oh, I turned Dave into a Last Crusade lover like myself. All right. That's another quote-unquote World War II movie. Not during the war, but Adolf Hitler's in it, so that counts for something, I assume. All right. Well, that's it for us for the week. Next week on the podcast, we're going to be doing Ford versus Ferrari, which our producers are absolutely cannot wait to. I think they might want to come join us at the theater.
I can't wait for it either.
I can live or take it. I'm looking forward to Jojo Rabbit, which is another one we're going to be doing. And we're going to be doing a new segment.
It's a surprise. Don't tell anybody.
I'm not
It's a
gonna tell
surprise.
anyone, don't worry.
It's a surprise.
You can let us know if you like it after you listen to us. Listen to us next week.
Yes.
All right, guys. That's it for us. Have a wonderful week.
Have a great week and happy Remembrance Day and Veterans Day.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.